Back to green flag action on the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
Wow, time running out on us quickly. This is going to be a short segment here, Dustin.
Rapid fire.
Transition into open wheel racing. The newly minted four-time defending Formula One champion Sebastian Vettel, despite having clinched the points title with 3 races remaining, said he still has some goals to achieve. He wants to attain a 7th straight feature win. This weekend's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix has some drama, as the points race behind the title winner is still hotly contested. By the way, Sebastian Vettel on Friday, fastest in final practice.
Go figure.
Good grief. Anyway, second, third place, things like that, that's still up for grabs. Fernando Alonso, 24-point lead over Kimi Räikkönen for second place. Lewis Hamilton, while likely a little too far back to get in the race for second place, is in a prime position to help Mercedes place second in the Constructors' Cup in his first year with that organization. They hold a slim 4-point lead over Ferrari, so there's still some stuff there. But here's the deal. With the championship having been wrapped up, and Formula One trying to get into the United States market, because they've got this weekend, Abu Dhabi. 2 weekends from now, they're going to be in Texas, the second ever race at the Circuit of the Americas course. Beautiful, beautiful facility.
Gorgeous.
250,000 people showed up for this thing last year, but we had a really tight battle between Vettel and Fernando Alonso that was just, I mean, it was up for grabs. Nobody knew. It was up for grabs during the last race of the year. Now it's all wrapped up. There is no drama for Formula One this year. Does that hurt attendance at Texas, or is this still such a great facility and such a new novelty that people still want to go and check it out? I think the attendance drops. My question is, does it drop severely or just a little bit?
I think it's going to drop a little bit, but I think now that it's all wrapped up and we know who our champion is, now these guys ain't got nothing to lose. Now they're going to go out there and
Good point.
Really put on a show.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't think it hurts.
I don't.
I hate to say this, but I think it hurts a lot more than what people are thinking. The good thing, and one of the main reasons why Barber Motorsports Park and IndyCar, which you don't really think of in Alabama as being a big thing, is because it's so early in the year, and there's a lot of things that can still take shape, and Birmingham and Barber Motorsports Park is kind of pivotal. The good part about Circuit of the Americas being second to last on the schedule is something like last year, when there's a whole lot of drama out there and that could be a key, or somebody could get crowned a champion at Circuit of the Americas. Or it can be really, really bad and all the drama's kind of taken away because, let's face it, in America we love the front runners. Nobody really remembers who finished second. We all remember who finished first.
Which means the entire United States will be Sebastian Vettel fans.
Maybe, maybe not. So, to me, this has the potential of really hurting Formula One. Formula One's going to have to figure something out here about how to, for lack of a better way to put it, ensure Sebastian Vettel doesn't run away with this thing long before the season's over.
Somebody's going to have to, sabotage his car then.
Yeah, maybe so.
I mean, I know that sounds horrible, but at the same time, if you want to make this interesting, you need to cause a penalty or something on this team.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
It's going to be interesting, but to me, they've got to do something at Formula One to keep the drama in this throughout the course of the year. And I'm not a humongous fan of the chase, but let's face it, it's kept the drama in this. We're tied now with Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson with 3 races to go. And you think about a couple of years ago with Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart, they battled it down to the final race of the year, and Tony Stewart wins on a tiebreaker, effectively.
That was a great chase. That was, the best chase thus far.
It kept the drama in it for NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, because
Formula One needs to figure that out.
During last weekend, it was back and forth. Kenseth was up top. Johnson was on top. Kenseth was on top. Oh, they're tied. Now that the race is over, now they're tied.
Something, and I'm not saying Formula One needs to do a chase, but I'm saying Formula One needs to figure out some way, shape, or form to keep some drama in this and keep it going long term.
Yes.
IndyCar season may be over, but a lot of off-the-track news here. IndyCar returned to Pocono Raceway for the first time in over 20 years. 2013 season proved enough of a success that track president Brandon Igdalski has extended the race. It's going to go from 400 to 500 miles in the 2014 season. It's kind of ironic, actually, because Igdalski had actually shortened the 2 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series events from 500 to 400 miles for the 2013 season. He didn't address that, but he did say that the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race that's going to be run the day before the IndyCar Series event, that's also going to grow from 125 to 150 miles. So
Tricky triangle strikes again.
Absolutely. Next year, Graham Rahal and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing going to be featuring a new race engineer. They got Bill Pappas to leave Dale Coyne Racing after 2 years of being the race engineer for Justin Wilson, leading him to 2 feature wins over that time. He was on pace for a top 5 finish in season points before a wreck ended his day early on the final race of the season, and actually it sent Wilson to the hospital. He's now out. Wilson did finish a career best 6th in points. Finally, Pappas now moves over to Rahal Letterman Lanigan. He takes over as the engineer for Graham Rahal. Rahal, disappointing year, finished 18th in season-ending points, driving for his father. Pappas actually started his racing career in NASCAR at the then Roush Racing organization, spent a season with Michael Waltrip Racing, and then transitioned to IndyCar, where he's worked for Target Ganassi Racing, the now-defunct Walker Racing. He's worked for Panther Racing, KV Racing, all before he joined Dale Coyne in 2011. Brings quite the winning tradition with him. He was a race engineer for Tony Stewart's 2001 Indy 500 effort, where he finished in the top 5 and on the lead lap before he flew to Charlotte, where he finished on the lead lap and in the top 10 in the Coca-Cola 600. That marks him as the only driver so far to complete all 1,100 miles in one day. He also won the Indy 500 the year before. He was the engineer for Juan Pablo Montoya. This is make it or break it for Graham Rahal. If he can't step it up, problems at Rahal for a Rahal?
Not really. I think they'll get this taken care of.
Pappas straightens him out?
I think so. I think that's why they're bringing him in. Get this thing straightened out. Get this team flying right.
Gotcha. Next year, when we hear the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Network as they give us the races at Barber Motorsports Park in the Indy 500, it's going to be a different voice making the calls for the first time since 1996. That was the year Mike King was named chief announcer for the network for all events but the Indy 500. More on that in a second. King began working for the network as a pit reporter the year before, in 1995. He graduated to chief announcer for all the races but the Indy 500 the next year and added that famous event finally in 1999. King said he needed to step away to focus on his family and other business responsibilities. Seems he's also the marketing and public relations specialist for the United Hospital in Terre Haute, Indiana. That's where both he, his wife, and his children, by the way, live. The network, they've begun their search for a new lead announcer. Not announcers, announcer. Solo. They say that they hope to make that decision soon. I'm just saying you and I are open.
Yeah, we're open, but I thought you already got it.
I haven't heard anything yet.
Oh, maybe you didn't get that fax. I'll just go ahead and tell them I'll take it.
There you go.
It's like, no. We're a team, man.
That's it.
It's a 2 for 1. This is
right.
no single thing.
Exactly. Kind of an odd little deal off the track here. J.R. Hildebrand. He was the victim of a robbery gone bad, so he wasn't really a victim. Monday at about 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Hildebrand was walking his dog and watching a video on his cell phone as he was going down 50th Street near Washington Boulevard in downtown Indianapolis when he heard a man walk up behind him and say, quote, "Drop it, give it to me." I'm assuming he's talking about a cell phone. When Hildebrand turned around, he told authorities that he saw a man wearing a hooded sweatshirt and holding what he called a dark-colored pistol, demanding that he hand over the cell phone. Hildebrand, however, said that he ignored the command, and after hearing what he termed an odd clicking sound, which led him to believe that it was a fake pistol, he looked at the would-be robber and said, "Get lost! Get out of here!" It was a response that caused the suspect to flee the scene, with nothing taken from Hildebrand and no one being hurt. I love it. Get out of here. And he left.
Put your toy away and get away from me.
Police.
Now, what would he have done if he had pulled the trigger and then bullets started popping out and he's like, dance, puppet, dance,
Yeah,
you
really.
know?
Yeah, police said that they searched the area, but they didn't find a suspect. Still, I think it's great.
It's hilarious,
That's
but
just
guess
funny.
what? This is one of those, please don't try this at home.
No, do not try this at home. And normally, I will say this, we haven't talked a whole lot about the feeder series. We kind of mention them in passing, like GP3, Formula 3, stuff like that over in Formula 1. We haven't talked a whole lot about Indy Lights, but I found this one fairly interesting because the guy who is now the man who is in charge of it, Dan Anderson, who's a former team owner in the Indy Lights division, the top feeder series for the IndyCar series. He's now the owner and CEO of Anderson Promotions. They hold the license to operate the Indy Lights series. Well, he has approved a new car for the 2015 season, and who should he chose but Dallara Automobili to develop and manufacture the next generation chassis for that series presented by Cooper Tires. Why do we mention this? Well, it's because the selection of Dallara means that group, Dallara, is now responsible for building the chassis for the top 2 American open wheel series. because they give the IndyCar series their chassis as well. So it promises to be a car that will improve safety, according to Anderson. But he says also the overall speed of the car in the secondary series will go up. We saw them out here at Barber Motorsports Park earlier this year, Dustin, and we thought they're a little on the slow side. They're certainly not as fast. It was kind of fun racing, but they're not as fast as the IndyCar guys. He's saying these things can reach over 200 miles an hour now, which is a step up.
Big step
and
up.
improve safety on some of the courses. So good job for them. And you think about it, they can now get the two series to be a little bit closer, so that when they go from the Indy Lights series into the IndyCar series, it's not such a radical transition for the driver and put them at such a disadvantage.
So they're trying to keep it where like Nationwide is to Spring Cup, same type of thing.
We're going to give you your own distinct identity, but we want enough similarity to be in there to where a person who steps up from effectively, in this case, AAA to the major leagues, if you want to use a baseball analogy on this, they're not so far behind the curve that they're so unfamiliar with the car that they can't handle it.
I like that.
I like it as well. It brings a little bit closer, even though IndyCar and the fine folks up in Indianapolis have said, we're not really going to control this anymore. So I think it's a great move for them. Great racing this weekend. 3 more races in the chase. First one coming up tomorrow. You say down to 4, huh?
I say down to 4.
All right. Matt Kenseth.
You got a pick?
Matt Kenseth this weekend.
Oh, come on. He's not a Ford.
You
think he's going to take
not a
that
Ford,
Toyota?
but that mile and a half, I didn't think that they were going to do it, but that mile and a half package has come in for Joe Gibbs Racing this chase.
Very possible.
We'll see what happens. We'll let you know next weekend right here on the fastest hour in radio. Hoover Tactical Firearms in the crosshairs, Drag Race Central, and more on your Saturday of programming here at Superstation 101 WYDE. Coming up next, may God bless you and may God bless these United States of America.